Welcome back to This Week in Auburn Sports. I'm Plainsman Sports Editor Eric Wallace, joined as always, and for the last time, by Plainsman Managing Editor Justin Ferguson.
This week's episode, it's all about fall camp. Auburn football just right around the corner, and we're going to be talking about some of the big storylines, players, and everything getting ready for August 30th against Arkansas.
Oh yeah, it'll be interesting to see. There's a bunch of new freshmen breaking onto the scene. They're going to get their first chance. Guys like Rock Thomas and Trey Williams, highly touted names. So they'll get their first shot at, getting involved with the first team and getting some reps out there with the team.
Yeah, it's really a really good recruiting class coming into Auburn, and they've had a summer to kind of get through with the workouts. Some junior college guys also came in. You were later enrollees. Yep. And you look at just the depth that Auburn has, and these freshmen are going to play a big role for the future. But compared to last year, I think Auburn has a whole lot coming back that these guys can come in certain spots, so they're not going to have to be relied on to be the playmakers. But
I think one position you kind of see that a lot at is running back. Because Rock Thomas, highly touted guy, he might come in and get a lot of playing time, at another school. He's got guys like Cameron Artis-Payne, Corey Grant, Peyton Barber in front of him that are just they have more experience. So he might not be able to find as much playing time as he might at another place.
Oh no, Miles Zahn and the staff have really talked about his ability to come in right now and make an impact. I think you could see this being like a Michael Dyer situation in 2010. He was behind some veteran running backs, but neither of them, really were able to take over that feature back role.
That was Mario Fannon's year.
Yeah, and Ontario McHale's
supposed to be.
Kind of think about that. You got a speed back. You got more in between the tackles. But Rock Thomas is coming into a situation where Cameron Artis-Payne and Corey Grant, their styles complement each other well. You'd rather see Grant, even though he's put a lot of work in becoming more than a speed back. You want to see him on sweeps. You want to see him go on the outside a little bit more. And Artis-Payne showed, in the SEC title game and at A-Day, he's really good at getting slicing defenses through the middle. Rock Thomas, though, is an all-around running back.
Yeah.
And, if the competition's still going on and he has a couple of really good games, you can see him shoot up this depth chart.
Yeah,
Peyton Barber, too.
It'll be interesting to see what kind of role he carves out, on the team, because it seems like Malzahn does like to have his running backs, tend to have.
I don't see him getting redshirted. Honestly, I don't think he gets redshirted. I think a guy like Sean White, a quarterback, will get redshirted. But I think Rock's got a role to play. And, he's going to be a name to watch this fall, see how he gets acclimated to Auburn and practicing.
Another position battle that is figures to be settled in fall camp. You would think left tackle filling the giant hole that was Greg Robinson last year. Guys like Patrick Miller. They're just trying to find a role on the team to replace Greg Robinson. And that's got to be difficult for them, because at times Greg Robinson was the most dominant player on the field last year.
So I think they've got it, though.
You think so?
I think if you look at how Auburn finished spring camp, the way they went into 8-Day, it's Sean Coleman. I think this is Sean Coleman's. This is his position battle right now, and I think Miller is going to be used at left and right tackle. Miller had some work at left tackle at the beginning of spring, and then he switched over to right tackle over there with Avery Young. I think he's a guy who's going to be a backup for both positions if one of them goes down. Offensive line coach Jamie Grimes says he wants to have 3 tackles, probably 3 guards, and a couple centers, just to have that depth to know that he can go to them.
Right.
But Sean Coleman is, it's his time. It's his time to really prove, all the hype around him.
Yeah, and when you talk to players on the team, he's back 100%, more than 100%.
Oh,
you talk to Gabe Wright, one of Auburn's best defensive linemen by far. And he just talks about how strong Sean Coleman is. And that
even compared to Greg Robinson.
Yeah, he said that he was way stronger than Greg Robinson, which is, Greg Robinson was the number 2 pick in the NFL draft. So, that's a lot of hype, but he's shown that he does have the talent to do so.
And you're coming into an offensive line that it's got 4 starters coming back. So Sean can get plugged in there and really, continue what Robinson left off. Auburn is going to really need some help if they're going to pass the ball more this season. Left tackle, that's a big spot. That's the blind side. And if Nick Marshall's going to go back and drop back more and throw the ball, he's going to be relied on a lot. Run blocking, pass blocking, I think he can do it.
He's a big guy. Defensively, there's a lot of people trying to fill out roles and find their spot on the team. Injuries, like with Carl Lawson, certainly have shaken things up.
Yeah.
You know, different guys have to step up. So, you know, what do you think? Obviously, Montravius Adams and Gabe Wright, they worked a little bit in the spring, you know, to play defensive end and help in the pass rush. But who do you think is a guy that might step up on the defensive line and, you know, fill that lost production that Carl Lawson
defensive end, I think the first name you need to think of is Elijah Daniel.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't get as many snaps as Lawson and Adams did last year, but he's also a 5-star recruit from that
Same
2013 class.
Mm-hmm.
In some ways, he could be a better all-around lineman. Lawson has got elite skills at just rushing the passer.
Right.
But, you know, Daniel has the ability to just be that all-around defensive end Auburn really needs, especially with a guy like Ladarius Owens on the other side. He missed most of spring with an injury.
Mm-hmm.
This is a position that rotates heavily, and I think you could see any number of guys come in there. Gamel President was a guy that everybody mentioned in spring that had a great set of practices,
Mm-hmm.
and then there are a lot of defensive ends coming in, these new guys. You know, Andrew Williams is one. Justin Thornton. They're big guys.
Yeah.
You know, the shortest one of them 6'4", and that's just a huge defensive line that Auburn really is wanting to get to for the future. They can step up early.
Absolutely, and I mean, but they have fixtures, Gabe Wright, Montravius Adams, that they can be relied on, and can be used in multiple versatile ways. So that's, you know, obviously a good thing for them to have.
Mm-hmm.
Looking into the secondary, guys like Derek Moncrief, JUCO players coming in. It'll be interesting to see in fall practices where they how they settle out, if they're playing boundary or field safety.
Yeah, he really did a good job in the spring of making, you know, the spot left by Ryan White, Ryan Smith,
Mm-hmm.
his, and I think he's going to be a starter.
Yep.
But there's a lot of depth behind him that they've got to develop.
There's a lot of guys back there.
Oh,
They just haven't, you know, either had the opportunity or just haven't done it on the field as much.
And there's been a lot of shifting around. Kari Harding, you know, is moved to linebacker. You've had Brandon King's back at safety now.
Mm-hmm.
There's some new guys coming in. I know Stephen Roberts, who's from nearby Opelika. He played cornerback in high school, but they think he's going to be a safety. Markel Boston is another safety, you know, to look out for, just to see if they can make something happen in spring camp, and then we'll see where it goes from there in the depth chart.
I'm looking to see, you know, obviously he's listed as a linebacker, but Justin Garrett coming off the injury.
Yep.
It'll be interesting to see where they utilize him, whether he's playing more of a star role or if he's down, you know, actually playing linebacker with Frost and McKenzie. Because before his injury, he was blowing it up all over the place. And you got a guy like Robinson Therizi who showed himself to be thoroughly capable of playing the star position last year. But he also is probably more of a cornerback by trade than he is, you know, pressing the line players. So it'll be interesting
That's a
to
deep
see where
position, that star position, and Auburn was worried about who was going to play that role. And then Garrett looked like the guy, and then he got hurt. And then Therizi stepped up and had a great season. Even behind him, you know, you've got McEnroe Alexander, who's very versatile and can play a bunch of different positions. If Garrett doesn't take that star role, look at him as a nickel cornerback. Look at him, you know, playing some of that linebacker spot. You know, he is a very, very...
He's a linebacker by trade.
Yeah, and you know, he's got an extra year eligibility now after the medical hardship waiver. So
hopefully his foot holds up. That'd be nice to see.
The one other thing I think people have really overlooked, Auburn fans really overlooked heading into the season, because they've relied on this position group for so much consistency of your special teams.
Yeah. A lot of turnover.
You know,
so
Daniel
turnover.
Carlson and Jimmy Hutchinson were the best players at their given position in high school. They had a redshirt year. Now they're ready. They're unproven.
It's an unknown, complete unknown.
Yeah, and they're the best guys you could have gone out and gotten, but now you're replacing both of them in the same year. Just Parkey,
you never know with kickers.
Parkey and Clark were so consistent for Auburn. You know, and nobody knows who's going to be a returner.
Yeah,
I would think Corey Grant would be a kick returner.
That's the speed, yeah.
But you know, they had several different guys back there. Robinson Therizi. People kept talking about Gray King. He's a wide receiver who could you know, step up and be a return man.
I could see a lot of Quan Bray being back on punt return.
Now he's got the most experience.
He's
coming
done
back.
it the most. I think, you know, Malzahn probably wants a trusted guy back there with trusted hands. So.
But you know, with a guy like Chris Davis last year, he just came out of nowhere and just, you know what, I want to play a returner, and he ends up returning big kick against Tennessee, and then the biggest play probably in Auburn history.
Yeah.
So
lots of storylines coming out of fall practice. I'm excited to get down there and just see what all's happening.
And we'll have coverage from it all month long at ThePlainsman.com. There'll be print stories every week when we
Follow
get
us on Twitter.
when
we're
we
tweeting
get
it out.
when we get back in session. But yeah, we'll have coverage online. You know, in this weird spot at the end of summer, beginning of fall.
Oh yeah.
But it's football season.
Yep. It's a bittersweet day though for us. This is our last episode together.
No, you'll have.
He's moving on to bigger and better things. I know a lot of people around the office are really they're taking it hard. Specifically Ron back here.
Yeah.
Ron
I'm gonna miss Ron.
he's real torn up. Like I think he'll get over it though. He'll pull through. But you know, we're gonna miss you, Ferg. It's been a pleasure having you around.
It's been real fun. I
Yeah.
really enjoyed this.
So, until the fall, we'll be back with This Week in Auburn Sports, but this is all we have for the summer. Stick around for a farewell to Ferg and a compilation of his best moments from This Week in Auburn Sports.
Welcome to This Week in Auburn Sports. I'm sports editor Will Gaines. This is assistant sports editor Justin Ferguson.
Justin Ferguson. Justin Ferguson. Ferguson.
Ferguson. His name are Da Silva Santos Jr. Yeah. From This Week in Auburn Sports.
Oh man.
This guy over here is the managing editor at the Auburn Plainsman, Justin Ferguson.
Ah!
I'm Eric Wallace, the sports editor.
This is the worst.
We'll get to the World Cup at some point, but let's get this right here. All right.
Welcome to This Week in Auburn Sports. I'm sports editor Justin Ferguson. That's sports reporter Eric Wallace. And in this week's episode, we will not be talking about A.J. McCarron and Catherine Webb's reality television show.
Wait.
I have to reference the Tennessee thing.
We have to give a special thank you to Mike Hamilton in the Tennessee Athletic Department for firing Bruce Pearl in 2011. Until next time, this has been This Week in Auburn Sports.
Those things are motion activated.
That's crazy. Welcome back to This Week in Auburn Sports. I'm the Plainsman sports editor, Eric Wallace. This man to my right is Plainsman managing editor, Justin Ferguson.
So thanks for watching, and thanks for supporting what we've done.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. We appreciate it.
This
Until
is a
then,
fork.
it is
See, I don't even know what I'm doing.
All right.